Hey, so my name is Blake. I was just playing at the Calgary Regional last weekend. I ended up getting third place, playing Fire King Snake Eyes, just a decent deck. So let's get into deck profile right away. But first I want to start with shoutouts. So I got Sherwood, Ian, Tyler. They all came down. They drove with me. Thanks for all coming down. I got all my Halifax friends, Angus and Royal, helping me theory out the list I was going to make. And then huge shout out Common Box Games. This is the best locals in Edmonton. Use Blake5 for 5% off for the first 50 people. And search Common Box Games, they ship as well. So don't have to just live in Edmonton to get there. Okay, so we have 3 Snake Eye, 2 Poplar, and an Oak. And a Flamberg. Just standard, nothing special. Double Kieran, Garunix, Arvada, Ponix. You don't really need the third Kieran all the time. Sometimes in grinds it comes up, but I wanted to add more hand traps. One cool thing about this, about round 5, I got a deck check and I realized I'd put the wrong Garunix in my list and I got a game loss and had to finish the whole rest of the tournament without the Garunix. So that's an easy, clean-shaven way to take off the 41st card if you want. I lost that. That was my only loss in the tournament. And then round 6 and 7, I somehow squeezed out wins playing with just these and Sanctuary and Island. In my main deck without the Garunix to connect them all together. And I will say without the Garunix, it's terrible. So I was basically playing pure Snake Eyes without the main deck Temple, but I did side it, so that kind of helped me in games 2 and 3. But those were easily the hardest, most handicapped matches I've ever had to play. So there's that. And then 1 Diabell Star, 2 Wanteds. A lot of people are bumping up the Diabell Stars to 3. I like the logic of keeping it closer to 40 and also main decking crossout, and I still wanted to keep 15 hand traps. Only way to do that is to not play the extra Diabell Stars, but as Jesse said in his theory crafting list, Jesse's theory crafting was in the in his video, was that adding 2 more witches only increases the chance of starting by 2%. So if you want to just extend, honestly I think playing the crossouts is better because you're still just trying to extend through hand traps. Having crossouts set after you make it the whole board is crazy into the mirror. And then like if you're playing as anything but the mirror and they don't hand trap you, you make your full board. It doesn't matter if crossout does nothing after that because you've made your full board, you're probably not losing. That's the logic on not playing the more witches. And then for the Sinful, I just play this. So I'm not playing the Temple in the main because I feel like for the most part, it's only usable if you open Witch plus Ash and both of them resolve. So you start with your Ash or your Poplar, and then the Poplar has to resolve, and then you have to summon the Witch, and that has to resolve for the OSS. And if you're resolving both of those with effect, you've probably already won the game. And like that line, it's not super relevant. Like it's really the best use of the Temple is going second, so that's why I'm siding it. But I really just didn't want to draw it and be down 1 more card when I go first. Like I know you could be plussing more by searching it, but like the 15% of games where I'm drawing the Temple and it's not giving me immediate value, I just thought it would be better to have to draw a hand trap or more engine in those places. So that's my logic for the for no main deck of Temple. Like the Fire King cards are usually good enough. Bonfires, 1 for 1. This card is just another OSS, pretty good. 3 crossouts, like every time I drew this, I basically won the game if they didn't have 3 hand traps, which is like really unlikely to happen, but if it does, then maybe you can keep extending. This card's insane. For the hand traps, just 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, 3 Nib, 1 Droll, and 2 Mourner. These are the best hand traps in the game right now. Like these are the best ones, and then since you play so many hand traps, a lot of the time you can combine something with Nib and just win the game because of it. In one of my underdog games without the Garunix, my opponent basically had like 10 more cards than me, but I was able to Veiler Nib him, and then on his first interruption on me, he belled one of my effects. I just went Talons, take the 7k token, and attack for like 10,000 damage. So that was like another way I squeezed out a quick win. Then 1 Droll for the crossout, and like against some rogue decks it comes up. Sometimes you can make it work against Snake Eyes, and then it's actually decent against Fire King, but I didn't play against any Fire King, I only played against Pure. Logic for playing this over Pure, I just think that it's way better going first, and it's not terrible going second. And I just want those extra lines to play through hand traps. And then we'll go to the extra. We got 1 Link Rebo, Hida Dark, IP, SP, Phoenix, this card's necessary. Sunlight Wolf, Sunlight Wolf isn't always necessary, but I really like that it can add back Kieran or Ash sometimes, and then also I'm playing Heat Soul, and then this is really good with the Heat Soul climb. Twos, then we got Princess, Heat Soul. Some people are cutting this card. When I draw Ash with Witch, I go the Apo line into the Apo Arvada Ambler Whale. You get a free draw off this, and you might summon it back with the Ambler Whale. 2 draws, like you're playing 18 non-engine that are all absolutely insane to draw into. So there's like almost like a 50%, a little bit more than that chance that you'll draw like a really good hand trap to help your play on the next turn. And it's just like free to climb into the Apo. Like maybe you'll have 1 less negate on the Apo, but sometimes it's actually a blessing because then when you use your first Apo negate, it goes to 800 and Talents is less effective. Which is scary sometimes if you like Apo negate once and they Talents take and now they have 2 Apo negates versus you as opposed to just 1 Apo negate. So it's almost better to have less attack and draw a card, draw into like a Veiler or something. Then we play Ambo. This card's still necessary in the Fire King build for sure. Apo, the OTK line, and then Grunix Eternity. Everyone's cutting this card. I think it's still insane. If you layer your interruptions in a way, you can always get 2 level 8s on the board even without hard drawing the Kieran by using Princess on the Arvada. And like the less people think this is in your deck, the better it is. A lot of the time they're pushing through because the logic is if you make your full board, they probably have 4 to 5 ways to play through your board, and maybe they can kind of get through stuff if they use like enough engine in the right way. And you just get these 2 level 8s on the board. They maybe use like an Oak summon back, and you're just like Sanctuary Effect, Darkhold the board. It's so good when it resolves, and it does resolve a decent amount of time. Not after round 5 when you lose a Garunix, but when the Garunix is in your deck, I think this card is definitely worth playing. The other concession is that I'm not playing Selene in Access, but because sometimes when I don't draw Witch, my line is to go Arvada, Amblo, IP. That line loses to Nib on Princess, so you have to play 2 Princess to not lose when the Flamberge goes to the graveyard and summons 2 back. So it's basically mandatory to play 2 Princess to play through Nib with the standard Ash line. And then, so the other cuttable card's Heat Soul, but I really didn't want to cut Heat Soul either. So the logic was I'd have to cut this for like Selene, and I don't think Selene's as worth it without access code. And that further incentivized me to play less Witches, which I think all kind of synergizes into why I built the build this way. So yeah, there's that. And again, give this card a try. I actually think it's pretty decent, especially when people aren't considering it. Then you have Mag, Juris, Baldrake, 4 cards. There was a lot of voiceless players, but I played none of them. I did play against Tyr though, and these were pretty good against that. And I also sent these in against pure Snake Eye because one hand trap on any one hand trap that stops them from getting to the synchro line, and then you activate a Druid Worm on the IP in the graveyard so they can't put in the spell and trap card zone, their board becomes infinitely worse. Like they may have Princess Effect in graveyard, but they're not IPing you twice, which is like half of the battle. And then it's just really good when you do that. And you start your turn with a Bestial. It helps you play against Summon Limit, because if you do like 2 hand traps and they pass on basically like just Princess, and they set 1 card, your line is immediately going to be like, wait to summon a card, and then make a Nightmare Phoenix and just pop the back row, because you don't want to lose to Summon Limit that everyone's siding, or most people are siding. The other 2 Drolls, because I actually do like this against the Fire King build, but I didn't think it'd be prevalent enough to put it in just for that. I didn't want to have like any dead cards against the Pier build, or just generally the Snake Eye deck. So I sided this in against Pier, and then I sided in against random stuff like Nadium, all that. Like Flunder, just Flunder going around. My going first cards are actually just Talents. That's how my siding patterns work, because I think the hand traps are fine. I wanted these, had to cut the video together here, but 2 Talents is my only going first cards, and the logic for that was, like sometimes Summon Limit isn't always the best. Like I know it's an insane card, but I felt like what was more important was playing through boards, playing to get to my board. So like there's a lot of cards you can draw into to keep playing, especially with the Fire King cards. So like if I have nothing, I don't want to just set a Summon Limit and hope that wins me the game. So I went Talents. I can go Talents to draw, or if you draw like with a crossout, or if they hand trap you and you have a way to keep playing, like looking at their hand is absolutely invaluable information. And then against like some decks like Voiceless, they only summon twice, so like I'd rather have ways to play through hand traps. That's the logic on the talents. And I just wanted to play more going second cards, so I'm only playing 2, and you can side this in going second against certain decks. So like there's a lot of back row decks, so I just wanted to play like Duster, Cosmics, because I'm scared of the summon limits. Like these are really good against the Fire King deck, but then you also, like, they suck against Pure, so I don't really side these in against Pure, but I would side the Duster in. But it's just hard to say, because like you really don't want to side these in against Pure when they have Flamberg, and you're doing it just to beat like a summon limit. If they don't have it, it like almost doesn't do anything. But like there's like Labyrinth and stuff and Voiceless, so that's why these were in. And then like these 3 1-ofs. So like Temple is good going second, helps you break boards, but then also you want this in your deck for when you play against shifter decks. So because your best line is to put Oak in the spell and trap card zone. So I played that for that. Like M-Pens, Cashier, Fenrir, stuff like that. That's why I play this card, any kind of weird stun deck. And then this is when you go second, I actually side this in and keep in the Fire King cards, except a Sanctuary and a Kirin. And then your goal, if you hand trap them into Oblivion, is to get Ponix and 2 summons so that you can out summon limit if they've set one. And if they do full board plus summon limit, you are never winning anyways. So it's kind of fine to have that theory going on. And this card's actually still pretty good. Like sometimes you'll summon a Ponix into interruptions, and you'll have already had this, and they'll go like Veiler, or they'll try to do something, and you just chain this and pop things. And then it's really good against back row decks. So, and then when I got Dragon for time, but I never went into time, so you actually could probably cut this and put in maybe another talents. Anyways, that's the deck list. I got 3rd place playing 3 rounds without Garunix, and then I won all my rounds with it. So yeah, deck's really good. Eventually it'll get hit on the ban list and we'll see what the next best deck is, but this is the best deck to be playing right now. Thank you.